Hello friends, Tanya here for Trinity Stamps, and today we're going to play with the Sparkle Season stamp set with coordinating dies. Here I have colored and die cut the jeweled tree in Sparkle Season. I used my Copic markers and 4 different colors with 2 different shades for each color. I've got a red, a yellow, a blue, and a green. I did do most of the tree in green, and I've also cut out a black shadow die shape to frame this up and make it nice and bold. I did add an extra layer of cardstock behind the Copic colored portion, and now I'm going to use that same die shape, which is the jeweled tree, not the shadow, to add another layer of dimension behind the black shadow die cut. Now we have the main element for our card all prepared to go. Now we're going to work on the background. We've got this snowfall foil plate, and I took some Hammermill cardstock and this mini rainbow foil and foiled that onto the cardstock. And we're going to do some ink blending. I have Salvage Patina, Broken China, and Uncharted Mariner here. 3 blues that will create this very lovely night sky. I do want this to be a bit of a glowing effect behind the tree, so I started with the Salvage Patina in the center of the cardstock, moved to the Broken China, and then on the edges went in with the Uncharted Mariner. Now I'm going back and forth with the colors to blend them in to create a beautiful blended background. I really love how that blending turned out, and I did want to make sure that the foil really stood out, so I rubbed my dry cloth over it. Then I thought I wanted a little more texture in my background, so we're going to do some ink smushing. I started with the Broken China, and now I'm adding some Uncharted Mariner, drying between layers. I haven't done any ink smushing lately, and I was kind of missing it. I think it really complements the crisp, sharp edges of the jewels to have this soft, splotchy background. I'll wipe that off again to make sure all of the extra ink isn't covering all of that beautiful foiling, and we'll figure out exactly how much of this panel we're going to keep. As you may have noticed, this is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock, and I'm using the Modern Embossed A7 stack to die cut our panel. I did choose I think the 3rd from largest, and then I pulled out the A7 envelope builder that has this beautiful scalloped edge, and I have to make the panel that I've ink blended smaller because it doesn't quite fit in there. What we need is about a 4.25 by 6.25 inch die, and that's what we're going to use to die cut out of the center of that blue cardstock that we've already die cut once with this layering die set. And look at that, we have this beautiful frame that we can use on the inside of the card. This was not a planned element of the card, but very serendipitous. I am just going to adhere that to the inside of the card, and it'll help bring the design from the front to the inside. I love when that happens. I'm just using a precision glue. You could certainly use the Crafty Glue Friend that's available in the Trinity store. It has a beautiful precision tip also, and if you've been following me for very long, you know that I just happen to be allergic to it. Now that we have our frame piece glued to the inside of the card, it's time to move back to the front of the card. Now this cardstock has been through a lot, so we're going to give it a little reinforcement with a piece of cardstock scrap to adhere to the back so that it has less chance of warping on the front of the card. We'll just adhere that with some liquid glue, and then we're going to adhere that to the scallop panel. You'll notice that there's some stitching inside the scallops on this panel, and it does make a beautiful little addition to the framing around our panel. Now that we have that all adhered together, we're going to apply that or adhere that to the front of a 5 by 7 card base that I've made out of Heavyweight white cardstock. It started at 10 inches by 7 inches, scored at 5 inches, and creased well with my bone folder. Now it's time to add the tree to the front of our card, and it does fit beautifully on this 5x7 card. I think you would be a little hard pressed to get this to fit entirely on an A2 size card, but I bet you could make it happen. It actually fits nicely on a slimline card, and it would just fit on a mini slimline. I'm adding some sentiments from the stamp and die set to the front of the card. They have been stamped with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and then some clear embossing powder was added, and it was a heat set, so it's nice and raised and shiny. These are actually the elements that I created when I was doing the product close-up video. So I had all of these die cut, and I figured I may as well use them. So these two cards that I'm making in this video are from the things that I created for the close-up video. We also have the inside of the card to decorate, and we have more sentiment elements that have been stamped, heat embossed, and die cut to go on the inside. There are a lot of elements of sentiment here to be combined together to create a nice phrase for your cards. There are large and small, scripty versus I don't know what you call it, block maybe, different styles of font that you are going to be able to combine. Treasures is available it's provided in the large scripty and the smaller, more block type font. I'm using this piece of paper towel to help absorb any extra glue and push those down. There's also some little gems that are included in the stamp and die set, and I had colored those and die cut them and decided to scatter them across the inside of the card. Again, bringing the front of the card to the inside and just continuing that design element. I think it's super cute. Using your pickup stick to help place all of these items on the inside of the card makes it so much easier. Now, if I had to use my fingers alone, I'd be much clumsier, and I would get the inside of my card very dirty. That is card number 1. I think it's really pretty. Oh, I forgot. I did add some sparkle pen. This is my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. You could use your Wink of Stella, whatever sparkle method you have. You can even use a paintbrush and some liquid pixie dust, whatever method you have. I just wanted to add a little extra shimmer and shine to those jewels because I could. That's why. Just a few more strokes with that, and it is truly finished. Time for card number 2. We're going to jump right into some ink blending and spattering. This time we're using scattered straw, antique linen, and wild honey. I wanted to have a nice golden background to this. Now this ink smushing very much reminds me of the 90s trend of rag rolling on your walls. It just has that suede look to it. I laid down an even coat of antique linen distress oxide over this white panel. And next I'm taking the the scattered straw, and I'm ink smushing that onto a piece of plastic packaging and smushing that onto the cardstock. And that didn't create a lot of dimension, just a little bit of color change. And then the wild honey, which again doesn't seem to create a ton of contrast, but just enough. We'll heat set that, do a little more ink smushing. I think I go back with some more wild honey. Probably. I'm going to add another item here soon. I decided I needed to add even more shimmer and shine to this card, so I added some Distress Mica stain. I think this one actually happens to be Flickering Candle. It might be Harvest Moon. It could be either one of the yellows that are available. Actually, the Flickering Candle was from last year. The Harvest Moon is from this year, and those are both limited edition. And the newest one is the Harvest Moon, and it's available in the Trinity store right now. Don't miss that train. I'm telling you, the distressed mica stains, I still use the heck out of them. We're adhering the different panels that we cut with the A7 Modern Embossed stack again, and adhering those directly to our 5x7 card base. Now this tree element I stamped in Versamark and gold heat embossed on a green cardstock, and then I took some green sparkly watercolor, shimmer watercolor, and painted all of the gems the same color, and I think that turned out really quite stunning. Next, we're going to use the Trinity Stamps Gold Star Embellishment Mix, and these are flat, very holographic, and they come in, I think, 3 sizes. That's all in the same container, and I scattered those across the entire background of this card. And whoops, look at that. I was cleaning the glue off the tip of my pickup stick and broke it right off. Thankfully, there are replacement tips for these pickup sticks, and I just happen to have a couple in my stash. So you just unscrew the old one and screw the new one in. Check the Trinity store for those. You might want to keep one on hand for moments like this. I'm just going to adhere all of these little stars to the front of the card. I easily pick them up with the pickup stick, add a little dot of glue, and then move to the next star. That's a lot of stars, and it did take a couple minutes to do that, but it turns out so stunning. Totally worth it. These would look fantastic in a shaker element also. Don't worry, I'm sure I'll make a shaker card with them. We're also going to use some more of the sentiments to the inside of the card. Just getting those stuck right on down with the precision glue. I've mentioned it before. I prefer to stamp and die cut the sentiments to stamping them directly in the card. 1, I think they look better, and 2, I can't mess this up. I can play around with placement, and I don't have to worry about accidentally smudging or smearing. My sentiment is just perfect this way. Now, if you were making a bunch of cards with the same sentiment, it would be much easier just to use your MISTI and do it assembly line style. But I'm not mass producing this design. I'm just making one of them. We're going to bring some of these stars to the inside of the card, and since they are flat as can be, that will work just fine. Sometimes you need to add a little jazz to the inside of your card also. So that is card number 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have lots of ideas on how you would use the Sparkle Season stamp and die set. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, now would be a great time. Be sure to check that description box below for all of the supplies that I used today. And here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Until next time, bye-bye.